Good morning. I'm glad to share a few moments with you today looking out the window of a train, a place where I've spent 43 years thinking and analyzing the world around me. Today's view, again, is a stormy train going through the teeth of a storm, which is exactly what it feels like we're going through in politics in Oklahoma. This morning, I want to talk about political transition in Oklahoma, not personalities, not party labels, direction. As we move toward the 2026 governor's race, Oklahomans are being asked to accept a familiar story from Republican leadership. We are told that liberals are what is wrong with everything, that culture wars are the real crisis, that schools are brainwashing kids, that healthcare decisions should be dictated by politicians, and that somehow, after decades of Republican control, none of the outcomes we are living with are their responsibility. That story collapses under even the lightest scrutiny. Republicans have controlled Oklahoma for years. During that time, public education has been systematically underfunded. Workforce development has been neglected. Healthcare access has declined. Infrastructure has been allowed to age and deteriorate. Wages have remained suppressed even as productivity has increased. These outcomes did not happen by accident. They did not happen under liberal governance. They happened under Republicans. Yet instead of reassuring and reassessing what has gone wrong, we are watching candidates like Attorney General Gettner Drummond double down on the same MAGA-aligned politics that created these problems in the first place. His recent ads showing him arm in arm with Donald Trump are not subtle. They are a signal. They tell voters this campaign will be about grievance and national culture wars, not about fixing Oklahoma. What makes that choice even more disconnected from reality is that the political ground is shifting beneath his feet. Across the country, voters are rejecting Trump-style politics, even in places that were once considered untouchable strongholds. In deeply conservative districts, including Trump's own backyard in Miami, Florida, voters have recently chosen Democrats over MAGA candidates. Just up the road in Georgia, in districts long defined by hard right politics, voters chose a Democrat. Those elections were not flukes. They are a warning. They're a clear warning that playing to a shrinking base while ignoring broad dissatisfaction is a losing strategy. And yet Gettner Drummond continues to put his head in the sand, embracing Donald Trump as dissatisfaction with political leadership grows, including here in Oklahoma. That tells us he is not listening to where the people actually are. He is chasing yesterday's politics instead of confronting today's reality. We see the consequences everywhere, and not just in statistics, but in what business leaders themselves are telling us. Polling and surveys of employers and corporate decision makers show a consistent message. Companies looking to expand or relocate into Oklahoma are paying close attention to the outcomes on education, workforce readiness, healthcare access, and infrastructure quality. And Oklahoma is not competitive in those areas. Businesses want a well-educated workforce, not a state ranked near or at the bottom nationally in educational outcomes. They want healthcare systems that support a healthy workforce, not rankings that embarrass us and drive talent away. They want roads and bridges that are modern and reliable, not infrastructure that is constantly patched together. Instead, what they see is a state more willing to pour money into band-aids than long-term solutions. Turnpike extensions that resemble bridges to nowhere, while existing interstates and highways remain congested and outdated and in disrepair. That does not improve traffic flow. It does not improve safety, and it does not send a serious signal to businesses deciding where to invest. So when we talk about economic growth, it is important to be honest. Job openings alone do not equal competitiveness. Yes, Tulsa and Oklahoma are seeing increased vacancies, but wages remain flat, infrastructure lags, and workforce pipelines are weak. People are working harder without getting ahead, and businesses are telling us exactly why Oklahoma keeps falling behind. That is not a failure of Oklahoma workers. That is a failure of Republican leadership. And instead of addressing those failures with serious investment, we are offering fear-mongering, performance attack on trans kids who are not driving Oklahoma's economy into the ground. Stage culture war stunts meant to distract voters while nothing changes for working families. That is the context politics in which the contrast matters. Cyndi Munson and Oklahoma Democrats are offering a different direction, not fear, not distraction, a governing agenda rooted in reinvestment, and she has been explicit about what that means. On public education, Munson said plainly, "We need to fund our public schools to the regional average and increase pay for teachers and support staff. You do not fix outcomes by starving classrooms." On economic fairness tax policy, she has been equally clear, saying, "We have to find tax relief for working families and the middle class, not billionaires and the top 1%. That recognizes what Republicans refuse to admit. Oklahoma's problem is not a lack of effort from workers, it is a system tilted against them. On workforce development and economic growth, Munson has tied those issues directly to education and healthcare, asking, "How do we recruit business in Oklahoma?" and answering it herself by saying it comes down to education, healthcare. Workforce pipelines are built through long-term public investment, not culture wars. And on healthcare, she has grounded her leadership philosophy in respect and autonomy, saying Oklahoma's families should make their own healthcare decisions with their doctors, not their state government. That principle speaks to access, dignity, and trust, all things missing from the Republican healthcare policy. Taken together, this is not a collection of talking points. It is a governing framework. Reinvest in people, rebuild systems, strengthen Oklahoma for the long haul. And this moment is bigger than one race. Democrats are running candidates across congressional districts and U.S. Senate race and throughout Oklahoma House and Senate. That matters because real change does not come from one office alone. It comes from building governing capacity where budgets are written and priorities are set. Oklahomans are not asking for radical ideas. They're asking for schools to work, healthcare they can access, jobs that pay a living wage, and infrastructure that supports their lives instead of holding them back. The choice in this political transition is becoming clearer. One path continues culture wars and excuses. The other path asks serious question. What would it take and what would it look like to reassess Oklahoma honestly and reinvest in our people, our education, our economy, our healthcare, and our infrastructure? That is a conversation worth having. This has been Morning Coffee with Kevin, a companion to our weekly Coffee with Democrats show, Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. And as we roll down the track of another day, let's keep the conversation going.